see it in the meetings, you can feel it in the meetings, you can see it in practice. You know, it's different, similar to last week, but just a little bit more, you know, and it's kind of exciting. It's very exciting.
Do they have like any type of angst or, you know?
No, I don't see that at all. I see focus. I see, you know, guys are catching the ball and, you know, and just on point with their you know, assignments and just asking the right questions. Just, you know, very sharp. Looks good.
Coach, does the extra week, you know, for you, is it benefit special teams maybe more than anyone to have that extra time?
I don't know if it benefits me any more than anybody else, but it definitely benefits us because you can work on little things. You have extra days to work on special returns or special situations. A lot of times you talk about them in meeting, but you don't get to practice it. Now we get to practice it because we have a little bit more time. So it's always good to have 2 weeks.
Dave, when you and Andy came in, Dustin Colquitt was a free agent and looked like he was going to leave. What did you say to him?
When we first got here?
Yeah, way back when.
I just talked about how I never had a punter like him. You know, how, you know, he was such a bomber. You know, he could really flip the field. And, you know, I had a lot of good players. I had Brad Maynard at Chicago and Adam Podlish. We had some good ones, but he was different. He was you know, he could really flip the field. And I thought, you know, we could really be good with him. And we actually turned him into more of a directional guy because he was a bomber when we first got here. And then we taught him how to be more directional, and which really, I think, helped his career, you know, in the long run.
Anything else you maybe said to him that kind of flicked him to?
I don't know. That was 7 years ago. I can't remember much, but I do remember that, you know, I really felt good about him, you know, as a punter coming
Coach,
in.
you said your players are asking the right questions. What kind of questions are they asking?
Well, just, you know, about the details of the game plan. You know, they're really focused and they're looking at the little detail. What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? You know, and that's good. When the guys are doing that, you know, you got them.
So you talked to Dave about the way the players have approached it, but what about for you? I mean, this is it's the
Yeah.
biggest opportunity of your life, too.
Same,
so-
yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, we watch a lot more tape, you know, I mean, you watch a lot of tape all the time, but now you watch a little bit more and a lot more. So it's, you know, the emphasis, I mean, the winner of this game is going to be the world champions, you know, I mean, it's so important, you know, that every stone is turned over, you know, so that's the way we're looking at it.
Harrison's had to make a couple big kicks in his career. It seems like a low-key guy. Is he built to be that guy on this kind of stage? That could
I don't doubt that at all. I don't, you know, he's made a lot of big kicks for us, you know, in playoffs, and none bigger than last year. He had to make that kick to keep the game going for us, and that was just as big as a game winner, you know, to me. So he's been there, done that. Obviously, he hasn't been in a Super Bowl, but I mean, it's the same type of deal, and we have total confidence in him as a team.
Dave, what do you remember about the end of the feeling after the Super Bowl in Philadelphia?
Well, I wasn't at Philadelphia when I was.
That's right.
Yeah, I was there the 3 years we went to the conference championship, and then I went to Chicago. Then they went to the Super Bowl. So they said when I left, that was the key for me getting out of there. But then I did go to the Super Bowl at 13 years ago at Chicago, and we lost. I mean, but we opened the game with a kick return for a touchdown, Devin Hester. But then it seemed like it was all downhill from there. So, but it's a bad feeling. It's you know, only one team's going to be happy at the end of the year. Unfortunately, you know, hopefully it's us this year. But it's a bad feeling when you lose that game.
When we were talking about this one time, the point was really that getting that close, it hurts. It actually hurts more to be there and lose than even to.
It does hurt. It hurts a lot, and you know, you try to remind your guys how important it is, and talk about what it is to win. You know, and keep that focus. I mean, that's what we're trying to do this week.
What do you remember Dave, you know Andy well. Do you feel like whenever it is his career's over and he has not won a Super Bowl, that he'll look back maybe at his career as being incomplete? Do you think he would look at it that way?
I can't speak for Andy on that. I just know that he deserves one. You know, he's done enough. You know, and I think everybody in the whole country feels that way about Andy. That, you know, they want to see him win the Super Bowl, and we're no different.
You mentioned the opening touchdown of the Super Bowl. What do you remember about your conversations with him leading up to the game?
With Hester?
Yes. And is that something you tap into maybe?
The whole week, everybody, media included, was, you know, we're talking about, are they going to kick to him? Are they not going to kick to him? And what I told the guys on Saturday night was, I mean, this is Super Bowl. All the cameras are going off. They're not going to kick a squib kick. They're not going to kick it, you know, out of bounds or anything like that. So they're probably going to kick it to you, you know. So, and that's what we talked about, and they kicked it right to him, you know. And then Devin did what he does, I mean, which is, you know, he's a special guy. You know, nobody's been like him ever.
Is that something you bring up with McCall leading into this game?
We talk about stuff. Me and him just, you know, on the side, and you know how cool that would be. You know, you want him to picture stuff like that. You know.
Does having the kind of firepower you have offensively, is that, how does that change your mindset? Is it like, hey, we don't have to be as aggressive, or does it make it easier to be aggressive because you know maybe you can erase mistakes?
I wish I could have took what we did last week back. You know, we were up three scores, and I got greedy and I put the return team out there because I wanted to get another return. I should have been safer, you know, when they ran the fake and put 8 guys in the box. That was on me. You know, so that's a prime example of me trying to do too much with the guys we got. So I learned a lesson on that. You know, if we're up 3 scores, you know, you play it safe. If the team's going to punt when you're up 3 scores, something's fishy.
But it worked, right? So I mean,
Well, I mean, it worked for them, but you know, for us, it didn't work. You know. All right. Thanks.
One game they freaked out. Asking for what his brother was doing. They said, "Bring his walking back and forth." Yeah, just freaking, he freaking pumped right. Take it like, oh my God, that's Tyreek back there. And he sees him like walking back and forth. Oh yeah, it was terrible. Yeah.
Put these down so I can see everybody in the back. Good afternoon. How we doing today? Good. Good. I'm doing good.
Coach, again, you're always so excited. I can't imagine any more excitement. But what level is it for the Super Bowl, and how are you trying to balance the team from being too excited so they can get work done?
I think our approach has always been consistent. You never want to be too high, and you never want to be too low. We're just telling our players to make sure that they're eliminating all the distractions off the field, meaning family, with the ticket business, who's coming down, who's doing what. Those are the things that take away from everything that you achieve. So we just want to make sure that they remain in focus on that. But on top of that, when they're in the building, making sure that we're focused on the assignment that lies ahead. And the assignment is to go out and win the game next weekend.
Coach, Mitchell Schwartz said yesterday that the lack of fast starts in the last couple of games is more a lack of execution, offensively at least, on you know how they're executing the plays you guys are calling. How do you better prepare the offense to go out and get a faster start in the Super Bowl after seeing what happened the last 2 games?
We just need to go out there and play. Everybody knows what to do. They know how to do it. Now it's about being disciplined and just doing it when called upon to do so. So there is no, hey, we got to do this or do that. There is no one answer. Collectively, as a staff and collectively as an offensive unit, we just need to make sure that everybody's on board, make sure that we're doing the little things, such as getting out of the huddle, lining up at the line of scrimmage, doing a great job of communicating at the line of scrimmage. And then when that ball is snapped, just playing from the echo of the whistle, playing from the time the ball is snapped until the echo of the whistle. And that's all you can ask. But we obviously want our guys to go out there and have a faster start.
What stands out to you about the 49ers defense?
Fast. They do a great job of rushing the passer. I mean, they got some big boys up front. And I mean, that's the heart and soul of who they are. And I'm not knocking anybody on that defense because those guys, everything starts up front. It's just like on offense. We want our guys to be the heart and soul of who we are. Well, the heart and soul of that defense lies up front. Those guys do a great job of getting off the ball. On top of that, they got a couple of backers who just fly around. And then in the back end, those guys are playing very, very sound, you know, with a hell of a leader in Richard Sherman.
Coach, I want to ask you, obviously, the former NFL running back, your thoughts on their running back, most of them, like what maybe, you know, you see in him that would give our defense some issues?
Well, I'm hoping he don't give us any issues, you know. I will say this. You talk about a kid who's had to persevere through a lot of adversity. Most people would have just forgotten to pursue their dream. This kid has been cut. I can't even count how many times that he's been released. But for him to go through all that and still find a way to overcome and persevere and still have that mental mindset, I can play in this game. It says a lot about the character of the man. And knowing that about that kid, I mean, the kid just has a heart of a lion. And ideally, just being a former running back coach and played the position, you're a fan of people that you know, encompasses that attitude. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be a fan of him on Sunday. But I think the kid is just a tremendous kid. He's a tremendous person, obviously. And I know our defense is looking forward to the challenge. Last thing, he's coached by one of the original running back coaches that has put out a number of tremendous running backs in this league, such as Terrell Davis. Okay, he was a part, Coach Bobby Turner was a part of that Denver deal when all those guys were rushing for 1,000. So he's coached by a great man as well.
Eric, Pat was your leading rusher the last 2 weeks, and I think there was a game or two during the regular season. What dimension does that add to your offense when the defenses now have to worry about that as well?
I think it adds a lot. First of all, it tells a lot about Pat and how he sees things. You know, I know Pat recognized the coverage in which they were playing. They were doubling, I think, Kels and 10. And the thing is, he recognized that, and they had no one on him. So he ended up taking off and running. I just told him, hey, if you're going to lead us in rushing, let's make sure we continue working on ball security with the running back coaches and get your neck roll ready, because you're going to have to pound it a little bit for us.
Eric, go back to your slow, when you're talking about the slow start. I mean, football's an emotional game. As you look back on it, were you guys too amped up? I mean, it's so much has been about getting back to where you were last year, right? Now you've come there and gone beyond. Did you think that you guys were too amped up, and what do you do to maybe guard against that now in the Super Bowl?
It could be a combination of that. These guys are excited just to be back. You know, last week to be back in that situation, wanting to go out there and do it so urgently and just be at their best. And like I always tell the guys, we have to remain poised under pressure. And what does that mean? That means, hey, this is why we practice the way we do. We practice full speed. We do everything at game speed. We're running the clock. So we want our guys to rehearse that moment over and over and over again throughout the course of the week. Now when it's time to play, we've already gone through that. But like I always tell them, I don't need you to be anything out of the ordinary. Just be who you are. Now, if we come out slow, that's okay, all right? Ideally, we want them to come out and play fast. But one thing I want them to understand is the only thing that matters, you guys have heard me say this over and over again, is the next play. So go out and play as hard as you can and as fast as you can, all right, that very next play. And we'll let the chips roll. We'll huddle up, we'll regroup, and we'll go out and do it again.
Eric, how do you avoid the distractions yourself? Who's handling all the ticket requests for you?
I have a wife who's been through this for a number of years. She knows how to say no. I have a mom who does an outstanding job of saying no or hell no. So, it's been pretty easy, you know. And I'll just say this: it's a unique experience to go through, and there are a number of people who would love to be a part of this, and I would love to take everybody with us. But one thing I have to let everyone know, you know what, we do have to work. While you guys going down there to Miami, it's our job to go out there and make sure that we're managing and doing all the little things that are necessary for us to be victorious. At the end of the day, all those things will take care of itself, you know, when that game is over.
Eric, when you guys are working with Pat, compare kind of this week, I mean this season, when you implement the game plan to him in the meeting, compared to last year, and kind of what his input is, what his reaction to what you're giving him this season compared to when he was doing it last year?
It's hard to say that it's really changed, because Pat is excited about every play. It's just our thought process. Every play is designed to score a touchdown. And the thing is, you know, when we're putting in these plays, we'll ask the quarterbacks exactly what they like and what they don't like. But very seldom do you hear Pat say, oh, I don't like that play. You know, he's often excited about anything that we're putting in because he feels that he can make it work. And that's the type of mentality that you want from your player, especially at that position. And so it's been good. And like I said, if there's anything that's negative, I just think that he's more advanced in understanding, and not that he wasn't last year. We've just taken it to another level with him.
Eric, is this team in condition for the heat?
We should be. We've been talking about it for a number of weeks now. We've been telling our guys, making sure that they're planning to be in shape for warm weather, making sure they're hydrating, getting all the proper rest, doing all the extracurricular activities in the weight room as far as getting their cardio in or getting some extra conditioning after practice. So that's huge, and that's all about being a professional. We hold our guys to the highest standard. It's all about being accountable. So if you want us to be the best that we can be accountable, not just to yourself, but also to everyone in this building. Because if you're doing the little things, guess what? The rest will take care of itself.
How do you reflect from going to the Super Bowl as a player with the Chargers to now as a coach getting ready to go into this type of situation, from the distance, you're looking at it from a player's point of view versus the coach's?
Well, it's just making sure some of the things that we've discussed, just some of the distractions. There are a number of things that take place. And understand this, the Super Bowl is one of the world's greatest shows. And you just want you guys to understand that, hey, although it's one of the world's greatest shows that everyone is in tune to, we still have to go out there and play. So make sure that you understand the goal is not accomplished until that final whistle is blown. So before that, there's a lot of things that we need to take care of. There's a lot of things we need to take care of in the classroom. There's a lot of things that we need to take care of on the field. And there's a lot of things that the players need to take care of when they're going home and studying and implementing. So there's a lot of things that we got to make sure that we're still are willing to sacrifice in order to achieve the goal that we want to achieve.
Eric, I know you're locked in on the title game here and everything like that. Reports came out that the Fritz Pollard Alliance held a town hall at the Senior Bowl. Your name came up quite a bit in support, and they were upset that you didn't actually get a head coaching opportunity this time around. Did you hear about that? Just what is your reaction to that support is behind it?
I hate sounding like a broken record, but I'm going to say this anyway. My focus has been on this week. My focus has been on our players. Our focus has been on this game plan. So, unfortunately, no, I haven't heard, and I'm just zeroed in on making sure that we can win the game next week. And it's just a little tidbit here. We're calling this game, just amongst friends, the Embo Bowl, okay? The Embo Bowl. Yeah, John Embry, the assistant head coach. His son works for the San Francisco 49ers, and I have Connor with me, so it's the Embo Bowl. So, I just asked Connor, who's your mom pulling for? He said, she's pulling for the other guys. I said, well, we're taking her off the list. She can't get no tickets from us. So, but.
We'll ask you after the win next week about the coaching process.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right, good afternoon. It looks a little lighter than it was last week. I think it would be a little bit heavier, but yeah, maybe it's down in the warm weather, right? Great to be here, excited to be involved in this game. Really happy for the guys and what they did last week to lead us to this, and just enjoying the process. We're back practicing, that's a good thing. So with that, I'll open it up.
Coach, do you feel your team is in condition for the heat, and how can you tell being here in the cold?
I'm going to leave that up to the head coach. He's talked about it, like Andy was talking about it even back a few weeks ago, just in case. And I don't really know that. It's hard to tell that. We'll find out when we get down there. We'll get down there early enough to get used to it, so hopefully that won't be a problem.
Steve, you've been from one really vaunted running game to another, but could you talk just about how different
Yeah.
it is preparing for this style of running attack as a quarterback?
Yeah, the one thing is that San Francisco's got a bunch of guys they can put back there and hand the ball off to. I mean, last week we were really concentrated on one number, 22. I think Kyle does a really good job with changing. Like it appears to us that he'll look at the defense he's playing and attack with those particular runs. It may not be what they ran against Green Bay last week or Minnesota the week before. I think he's really good at that. So we'll have to figure that out early and try to find a way to control it.
What about defending the speed of those running backs in particular?
Yeah, a little bit.
What challenges is that?
Yeah, it's the system has always been, his dad and the Alex Gibb, the whole, when I was with Gary Kubiak in Baltimore, it was very similar. And what they're really good at is getting you to run east-west and then cutting it back. And they have speed guys that can do that. One of the things we tried to do last week was try to get there before the running back got started. These guys, that's a challenge. They're really good at it. We'll have to come up with a couple of things to slow it down. But more than anything, cutback to me is huge. We talk about tracking the hip when the run goes away from you. And that's something that we've got to put in the forefront of our thinking when they run the football.
There's a lot of talk about that running game, but at the same time, they've got George Kittle, Sanders. What kind of challenge does it present to y'all also that you have to be aware of those other weapons?
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to this point, the final game without having a lot of weapons. It's not just one thing. We can't be blind to the fact that we're going to put all our money, all our eggs in one basket and try to stop the run because what you said, what they have, skill out there. I mean, and that's what probably has led them to scoring all the points that they've had. Makes the run game better. We're going to have to pick our spots when we want to take a certain guy away. And more than anything, I think we got to play our defense the way we know how to play it and be as concerned about what we do as what they do.
Is there a guy you've played against this year that reminds you of Kittle, or is he sort of unique in that regard?
I tell you what, we were really impressed at how good a run blocker he is. I mean, we know what he can do. But, there are many games we go in and say, look, our DNs, there's no way we can lose a blocking battle with a tight end. They're just teams that, have tight ends that are more receivers. But this guy, he's as all around a tight end as I think we've seen this year. And I give him tremendous credit for the emphasis he puts on run blocking, and he looks like he enjoys doing it. Really good.
You guys have been able to obviously overcome collectively a slow start. I mean,
Yeah.
Your unit, but how is the Super Bowl different? Having been there, I mean, I know the way it went with the Giants and Pats, it was always kind of toe-to-toe.
Yeah.
But is the emotion different? Is all the hoopla mean that you in this game you really can't afford to play from behind the way you guys have been fortunate enough to do the first two?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's some truth to that. Nobody wants to get behind. Certainly on defense, you'd like to be out a couple of scores or possessions because then you can call things a little bit differently. But typically in these games, as we know, I mean, we got two good football teams, right? They usually nip and tuck and tight, and we're going to have to be prepared either way. I've always said this defensively, is our job never changes. It doesn't matter what the score is. And I'm probably a pain in the neck that way. We could be up by 3 touchdowns with a minute left, and I've seen crazy things happen in the game of football, so it's not over to me. And conversely, when you get behind, you got to scratch your way back. We've been able to do that. We'd like to have a fast start defensively and let our offense go to work. That would be the hope.
Coach, following up on that, Coach, obviously, you were the defensive coordinator there at Black Dolphin. Undefeated Super Bowl, undefeated New England team in 2007. Cost people some money, that's it.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
But how has your week of preparation, and do you see your front line able to attack the 49ers front line similar in the way that the Giants did with the Patriots?
Yeah, different teams, different scheme. With Tom and they had a run game and they could get the ball to Randy Moss and a bunch of other talented receivers. This one's a little bit different. There's more two-back. That brings a whole another realm into it. They got a really good fullback. I was with Kyle in Baltimore. He presents a headache because he's not just a fullback. They can put him anywhere. They can make him a wideout. They can make him a tight end. It's different that way. So we're obviously trying to defend the scheme and what they do. My mind's not back on what happened years ago. I'm just hoping that we can do the fundamentals of defensive football. If you don't do that first, it's not going to matter. And I go back with our guys all the time. We can put all the defense we want on the wall. If we're not going to tackle and get off blocks and get to the football, then none of that's going to matter anyway. So that doesn't change.
And then you also talked to them about the penalties, obviously.
Yeah, that hurt us last week. We did. I flashed that up on Tuesday. We talked about it. We can't do that. That's hard enough to, stop people when they're just grinding away than giving them free 5 or whatever it is. That's a good point. We can't do that.
San Francisco's won in a lot of different ways this year. They throw 8 passes last week, but who knows, they could throw 20 next week.
Yeah.
How hard is that to prepare? Is that more film? Like, what do you stress to counteract? Okay, just because they did this last week doesn't mean.
Yeah, I think that their offensive staff and Kyle do a great job with that. They look at the team they're going to play. They attack what they think are the weaknesses. It's not just this is the system, this is what we're going to do. That's quite obvious. And they do have a lot of different ways of winning. I mean, it helps that they got an outstanding defense, defensive football, and I'm sure their special teams are good. I haven't studied that. But they just look like a complete team to me. We're only concerned with one phase of it because that's our job, and we'll try to find a way to slow it down.
Coach, to follow up on that, every bye, this is a bye week, right? The Super Bowl's different, it's 2 weeks, but you get 2 weeks with bye weeks and everything. In general, you've talked about how the first quarter you kind of feel it out, see what they're going to do, but how much new stuff can a team come up with? They're going to play to their Kittle's going to be involved. So
Yeah.
They're not going to just sit him down, but how often during a bye week do you get like, wow, we had to digest a lot there on the run?
You mean after the game's over? But
Any bye, like since you got the extra week,
Yeah.
how much can they install new stuff?
You talk about their offense.
Yeah, their offense.
Yeah, I don't. It'll be a play or two here or there. I don't see them venturing too far from what they are. But I will say this: there's going to be something there that we haven't prepared against. And so again, it's going to go right back to our fundamentals. If you're in zone coverage, having zone eyes. If you're in man coverage, make sure you keep your eyes on your man. And that's the way. That's the best chance you have of defending something new, in my opinion. Because there will be. There's going to be something new there. We might have something new.
So when you
We're a
talk
little bit
about
off the
that,
subject, Steve, but do you have any thoughts about Eli retiring?
Just good thoughts. Listen, I think the world of Eli. I'm happy for him. Had a tremendous career. I was blessed to be with him and shared in the ultimate moment. So I wish him all the best.
Steve, in the short time that Suggs has been here, he's done it forever, have you picked his brain or see how he can tell other guys just the nuances that he knows in the game?
Yeah, great question. Last week there was a moment like that. The linebacker coaches came over to me and said, wow. They said, T. Suggs was just over there talking about this particular technique that we do with our defensive ends. And he goes, he just put on a clinic. He said, everybody, all the linebackers, and nobody said anything. Just listen to him. That's what he can do. I think when you come somewhere new, you don't do that initially. So it's kind of taken a little bit, and now I think he's getting more comfortable. But he's been a tremendous addition and a real help to the players in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways.
when you talk about the fact that they will probably have a different game plan for you, so you mentioned earlier the fact that you're going to have to see what they're doing and then make your adjustments. This group of players that you have, how good are they at seeing those types of things and helping you in that process?
I tell you, they're great, but I lean tremendously on the coaches. I mean, Matt House and Brendan Daly, who are right over there on the sideline with me, and Dave's up top, and Sam and Britt. I mean, they're huge in that. Both those guys, or all those guys, have been through the fire. So I really rely on them. I can't see everything. And my mind is on the next call, the next situation, and they're able to sit back and say, look, they're doing this. We might want to think about, calling a couple of these. They're great that way. I would put the credit on them first, and then the players absorbing it, embracing it, and going out and executing it. We got to be good at that, and that's what this game's all about, in-game adjustments.
Steve, BIENIEMY's been a guy that you've increasingly trusted filling in for Hitch. What is it he's done to help you build that trust, and how do you help a young guy like that get ready for a Super Bowl?
Yeah, he's a pro. And Matt and Britt spend a lot. See, Ben's a special teams player. So he's got these special teams meetings that he has to be to. So, but he comes earlier to visit, to meet with the linebacker coaches, to be ahead of all that. He's a pro. He takes it serious. He's a cerebral guy. Iowa, right? That's how they build him up there. And he's a tough nut. I mean, I love him on game day. Nothing phases him. But he does a lot of roles for us. I mean, talk about special teams. And he's a mic for us, and he backs up at other linebacker positions. And he's been great. Him and Hitch working together has been huge for our unit. Really has. Good. Thank you much. Appreciate it.
So you think it'll be TYRANN? I bet it's Dustin first. ready and conditioned to play in the heat?
Well, I felt like, really throughout this whole season, we've been practicing the right way. Felt like I mentioned the other day, probably one of the toughest training camps I've been through. And even now, we're still getting out there in the practice. So I think more than anything, it'll be a mindset thing for us. Can't really let the temperatures or the weather dictate, how we feel on Sunday.
So Coach Steve said that one of the things that's going to be a big challenge about this game is that the 49ers can come out with a different game plan based on the opponent. So you're going to have to be able to watch them the first couple of series and see what they're doing. How much of that falls on you as a player to be able to identify what the 49ers doing differently maybe than what you've seen on film?
Yeah, I think, ultimately, you try to go out there, really the first 15 plays, try to get a pulse of what they like to do. I think personally, ultimately, they're going to do what they've been doing, which is, they do a lot of motioning, a lot of window dressing. They move a lot of guys around. And all of that is really to get a certain leverage on you. So if we could ID certain guys in certain formations, we understand the possibilities of what could happen on any particular play.
What does George Kittle bring to the game? Great question. What does George Kittle, what kind of challenges does he present?
Yeah, when I watch him, I see a team that can obviously run the ball really well, but I think he adds a different element to their offense, physicality, more so an attitude, right, that he plays with. He seems like he's having a ball, every ball game. So it'd be important for me, myself, guys like Dan to kind of match that energy and just compete, right? Like, it's treat this like any other ball game, and whoever lines up in front of you is about, beating a man on man.
Tyrann, have you played against him before, and does he remind you of anybody at that position that you played against this year?
I have not. I had the opportunity to practice against them last year for a joint practice when I was in Houston. So, but I don't believe he practiced that week. So, no, I've never had a chance to play against him.
Does he remind you of anybody you played against at that spot this year?
No, I mean, he's an exceptional talent. They move him around. He runs routes from really all three positions. So they bunch him up, they stack him up, they try to get him free releases, they put him in the backfield. He's a big part of what they do. Concept-wise, it'd be important, like I said, for us to ID where he is, and if it's man-to-man, compete really at the highest level against him. Him. We talked about last week and just moments ago about the physicality, and of course being physical with Derrick Henry and Sunday's game was very important. But what type of physicality are you hoping to impose with their run game and their receivers Super Bowl Sunday? Well, it'd be important to, obviously can't be too aggressive with some of the run schemes that they run. I think it's important to really just win your leverage, right? Understand where your help is. And I think in the back end, it'll be important for us to kind of fill alleys this next week, get involved in the run game. And like I said, the biggest thing, ID and formations. I think they move a lot of people around. It could confuse you. It has confused a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I think final formation, it'll really tell us a lot if we reading our keys the right way.
With the Niners changing things up so often, I'm sure your eyes are critical here. Will you do extra film study? Will you put in extra hours just so you be able to maybe figure out certain keys and so on and so forth this week?
Yeah, I think the offensive coordinator, head coach, do a good job of, making a lot of plays look the same, right? And they run a lot of different formations out a lot of different personnel groups. I think at the end of the day, they like certain concepts. So, for me, it's about, I've been trusting myself all year. So, it's about me just believing in what I see. And, I think that has really allowed me to play at a high level.
How critical is it making that decision fast as opposed to getting caught maybe thinking and getting off balance?
Well, I think, different situations, require, really different thought processes. Obviously, I think early in the game, you want to get a pulse of what they're trying to do, keep everything in front of you. And then from there, it's just about playing aggressive ball, understanding what they like to do and, making plays on the football.
Tyrann, as a leader on.
We gotta go, guys.
Okay. You're going to be on the Super Bowl, potentially assuming
Is it?
You guys are the wrong beat. Yeah.
You guys are good for Chris. He does have to get back over, so he's only got 5 minutes with you guys.
Hey guys.
Go ahead.
Chris, how are you feeling, obviously, coming out of the game? I know Thursday or Friday before when you spoke to us, you weren't sure how or if you would play that Sunday. How are you feeling coming out of Sunday's game?
I'm feeling better, just taking advantage of this week off, getting healthy, getting to the playbook, studying them 49ers. Yeah.
Were you surprised at how well you played? I mean, I know you're confident, I know you have your abilities, but not having had a chance to test it, did you feel that comfortable that you would be able to make the kind of impact you did?
When Friday came, I kind of knew I was going to play, but with Rick and the training staff, I thank them guys so much. They took the precautions to make sure I was the healthiest that I could be before the game. But I knew I was going to play, and whenever I step on that field, I try to give 110% no matter how I'm feeling, and whatever pain I'm enduring during the game, I'll just make sure that I battle through it and just give it my all.
How were you emotionally after the injury happened and having to just sort of deal with it internally, missing, big game and all?
I mean, especially an injury at that time, you actually go through a lot. Thank God for my guys, my teammates, the D-line, a guy like Frank Clark, that he's all about positive vibes, positive energy. My teammates always uplifting me. Just those guys uplifting me and everything, because then you get to question yourself why it happened or what could I have done better, and especially in playoff games, because, playoff isn't promised. And especially when you feel like you can do something to help your team to win a game, it's emotionally challenging. And I was fortunate enough that the team went out there, executed against Houston, and I was able to play against Tennessee Titans, and thank KC fans for the prayers. I think they helped. And Miss Fags, she actually made me some meatballs. And I think that's what did it. The meatballs had me feeling amazing on Friday. So
More meatballs.
yeah, that's why I told him, man, it's a tradition now. He told me, listen, that's my wife, just relax. And I told him I'm not trying to make any problems.
Chris, can you talk about the 49ers? We were just hearing how they can disguise things, all the plays can look the same, and then suddenly it's something different. They've got something special for this defense. So when you study them, what do you see that they do?
They're very special. Both sides of the ball. I mean, they took this off season and added some huge key pieces. They added D Ford, drafted a Nick Bosa kid. They got Richard Sherman on the outside, DeForest Buckner. Their front seven is ruthless. Then you look at the offense, Jimmy Garoppolo, the speed that they've created around him, one of the best tight ends in the league, George Kittle. So they got a lot of weapons. They're very dynamic. Good team, great team. And, with the scheme Shanahan is running over there is very pivotal. And we got to study film, make sure we dial into whatever we can do to affect those guys.
Chris, you talked about how tough it is to sit there knowing you can't play. Now, how tough is it to have 2 weeks to have to wait to play in the Super Bowl? I mean, are these days just crawling by right now?
No, this is great. I was thinking about this last week, and everybody was like, "Man, the bye week is not good." No, the bye week is great. You need a bye week. This is week 20, week 21 of the season. Is long, so it's very, very fortunate we able to get this bye week and take advantage of it and rest and get our bodies right and our mental capacity of the game right. Because actually later on in the season, especially for younger guys, the mental capacity, it gets hard. You have to start, actually forcing yourself to study more, forcing yourself to look at the playbook, because it's so late in the season that, around this time you're actually done with football, unless you're fortunate enough to make it to the Super Bowl.
Does the stress, you guys had such a focus of getting back to where you were because you were so close last year. And I wondered, did stress did you see it kind of on you guys? Maybe that's why you got off to slow starts. And is there a relief being here, or no? The championship game, it's more stressful than anything before.
No, if you actually look at how we get off to the slow start, third down, I jumped off sides. Another third down, Frank Clark jumped off sides. Another third down, we got a PI. And I feel like we needed to stop beating ourselves, making key adjustments on defense, stop beating yourself, and, execute the scheme of the defense. And once we start doing that, everything start working in our favor because we're not actually depending on the offense to score 30 and 40 points. But what we are depending on that our defense hold up to, keep our offense within the game. Well, fortunately, we got Pat Mahomes that, at any time things can take off, and Andy Reid, who is a genius at offense.
You mentioned D, and can you speak to the fate of you being in this game and him being in this game a year after things ended the way they did last year?
I actually talked to D last week before the Tennessee game, and we was just talking about how crazy it is if we get to play each other. D still is a close friend of me. We still talk on basis, and very fortunate, man. D taught me a lot while he was here, and more so away from football, just about life. And I was fortunate enough to play with the guy, him and Tamba, and him and Justin Houston, which taught me a lot. So, it'll be a great opportunity to actually get to play against him.
Chris, with the way things went in the game and then you get this extra rest, do you anticipate being able to play the full game on Super Bowl Sunday, health-wise?
1,000%, man. I just truly believe in Rick and his staff, how they've been handling this. They're some of the best in the business. He's been in the business a long time, and whatever Rick tells me to do, I try to do it to my best ability. I completely trust those guys, and to make sure that they have me ready before a game.
Okay.
Thank you,
And
guys.
don't forget the meatballs.
Yeah, don't forget the meatballs.
All right, real quick. Two guys aren't working today. Travis Kelce and Jordan Lucas are both sick.
Is it
Every-
the same sickness both your team?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah.
Not you. Yeah, Kels and Jordan.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Kendall, how would you just describe your emotions, your mindset in a week like this with the biggest game possibly of your life coming up?
I think, one of our coaches, just how they set the schedule up, they kind of they made it easy for us to focus. Just having like a regular week schedule as if we were playing this Sunday. So just being able to have that mindset, thinking about where I'm going to eat, knowing my schedule and things like that. So just being able to keep that same game schedule, what days you watch film. If you watch this on Tuesday, Wednesday, you still watching it just because we got that regular week schedule. So I think that schedule's been helping a lot. And, been allowing us to focus in knowing how big of a stage it's going to be.
How difficult is the transition been for you? You're playing a different role and doing things. Is that been difficult? Has it been something that's maybe made it easier because you have to zero in so much and do things?
Time definitely, anytime you get more time to study and things like that, it definitely helps. But it's definitely been different, but I think just kind of when I was a freshman at Tech, our defensive back coach, he was always praising us on, being able to play DB, no matter where it is on the field, being able to do a lot of different stuff. And but just how our system is, the nickel kind of always been playing like a safety and things like that. So I think that's mainly been a big help. It's not like I was at corner and then I'm just transitioning to like a nickel safety spot. So being able to get those reps as the nickel, all OTA, training camp, whatever, and then it kind of transitioning to the safety spot has definitely been helpful.
How much of a challenge was it coming back after the 5 games off and then just trying to get back in that? Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I definitely feel better, but it's definitely tough just because, I think what made it tougher this year was just what happened last year, having the surgery last year, then coming back playing and then breaking the screws in the AFC Championship game. So I think just that trust level wasn't there when I first got back. Whether you're just pressing a guy, you don't really want to use the thumb, just when you're tackling, not really wanting to wrap up with the right hand and things like that. So I think last year, just having what I went through last year kind of affected me this year. But the more I've been able to get out there more this year and make some plays, make some tackles, you kind of get comfortable right after that.
When do you feel like it clicked in again for you?
Say it again?
When do you feel like it clicked in for you when you started to feel comfortable?
I had a tackle in Chicago that I actually, like, just little plays you just kind of notice. Like, I was like, dang, I actually kind of wrapped up with my right hand. I think that kind of made me a little bit more comfortable because it was other tackles I had where I could kind of just notice that I would bring my right shoulder but wouldn't really bring my whole arm and things like that. So just little things like that. It could have been like a couple plays in practice where I'm like, okay, I actually jam with my right hand. Where naturally my mind is doing it in my head, but it actually takes a while for the body to do it. So I think that Chicago game kind of helped me.
Kevin, what did you or any of the other players, talk with Suggs about, what to expect, all the distractions that are there for the Super Bowl since he's experiencing?
Yeah, I think a lot of guys in the D-line room have talked to him a lot, and probably the linebacker room. For us, we mainly been talking to Coach Merritt, Sam, who's been through it as a player and things like that. So every day I told him, like, just them being able to give us that picture of what it's going to be like. Just like when we go into it, we already can kind of know what it is. We got a taste of it already just because, Coach Merritt every day, he'll just paint us the whole picture of what it's going to be like, whether it's the media, halftime, pregame, and things like that. And even Sam as a player going through it, being able to tell us exactly what it's going to be like. So I think that's going to be, real beneficial for us.
What did he say about, like, opening night, that Monday night?
Just talking about just the media, just how he'll give you the picture. I think he said back then they used to do the media in the morning. I think now they do it at night. But just being able to paint that picture, like whether you're a guy like Pat Mahomes or you're a guy that's just, picked up off the practice squad halfway through the season, everybody's gonna have to deal with media. Just little things about the hotel room, tickets, whatever it is, just being able to paint the whole picture about any little thing.
What about quite the NFL family? What advice have your brothers given you about?
Just locking in, just focusing up. Just them knowing that the game is next Sunday. My brother shoot me a text this week like, hey, dog, make sure you have a good week of preparation, good week of practice this week, and things like that. So just them taking the pressure off me, whether it be like with tickets, hotels, just being able to handle the logistics and things like that. But really just them just allowing me to lock in. Kyle's out there at the Pro Bowl right now just having fun, enjoying it. My mother and my brothers, I just FaceTime my brother, and he's like with my nephew, holding them and things like that. So they're definitely having fun out there. So I know it's going to be fun for them to be able to go to Pro Bowl and then to Miami for the Super Bowl.
This is the first Super Bowl for
Yeah, this is the first Super Bowl for all of us.
Is it kind of a role reversal? Because I'm sure you grew up looking up to the older brothers, seeing all of them in big games, and now all the attention's on them.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. I know my oldest brother, the two older ones, I know they enjoy it. Just being able to, I remember, he'll just talk about anytime we played on the same time, same games on Sunday, he'll have, the TV up, laptop on, FaceTime with my other brother so that he can see the game. So they enjoy it. They have fun with it.
When you switch a position, or when the defensive coordinator asks you to sort of sacrifice in a way that is unusual throughout the year, there obviously has to be a level of trust. For you personally, what makes you trust Steve Spagnuolo, and when you see the two of you guys found that common ground that allows to have this level of success?
I think, like I said, really for me, it was just always kind of, even though I always played corner and nickel, I always viewed myself as being smart, being able to do a lot of different things. I think, which was one thing that always, separated me from a lot of guys, is being able to move to different spots, do different things, and really just seeing how many other guys on our team do that same thing, seeing Dan move around, seeing TYRANN move around and things like that. So, when you have a culture like that and guys that are like that, that's something that you want to be a part of. And that's what makes it easy, because you can't look at it when you got other guys in the room going out there playing this position, playing that position, and then when it's time for you to do something to help the team, you kind of just like, nah, like, that ain't, like, I don't play safety, sorry, when you got other guys in the room doing it. So that makes it easy. And, me, like I said, coming in, to Virginia Tech as a freshman and kind of learning, like, all right, you're not just going to learn this position. You're going to know what the corner do, you're going to know what the nickel do, the safety do, and things like that. So it's definitely been fun.
Thanks, guys.
What'd you get today?
Hey, Dustin, you've been here for a few coaches now, and I wonder, as you think about it, what it is that distinguishes Andy in terms of how he leads and reaches you guys?
Yeah, I mean, just, you know what you're dealing with. First thing, when he got here, he's going to be thorough. He doesn't leave any stones unturned. He wants to know what you got going on in your life, family life, your work ethic, everything that's going to benefit the team. And, you know, he does his homework. That's apparent with where we're sitting right now and the opportunity that we have in front of us with the new guys that he's brought in from free agency and the draft. And they're the best at that. You know, Brett Veach has a great team. They're scrupulous with their work at the combine. They ask all the right questions, I think. I mean, I'm not there, but when you are able to, you know, start the ship off in the right direction, starting in 2013 with a 9-0 start like that, when we were 2-14 and hadn't really won even a preseason game for a couple of years. It's a radical change, and I think it's just their thoroughness for seeking out players that want to win and that want to contribute and that enjoy playing off our fans. A lot of the players that are successful here get in the community first. Obviously, if you see what Ty's doing, Frank, all these guys, if we hear about them first, what they're doing, and then, well, I hope he plays well, and then all of a sudden they're just exploding on the field too. So they definitely have a player in mind when they're recruiting and trying to get guys into Kansas City now.
And when you guys a lot of times will refer to Andy as a player's coach. Can you just elaborate on what that means? I mean, how does he convey that?
Yeah, I think a player's coach means that you treat everybody the same, which is differently, because everybody's different, and he knows, what pulls your strings, what motivates you, and all that stuff. And I think that's what makes him different from not a lot of people that I've had, but what makes him what people say player's coach is because he just knows the terrain. He knows what motivates guys that are in his locker room because he knows you, and he spends that time off the field getting to know you better, and that breeds success because he knows I'm not going to ask anything from that player that player doesn't already knows is coming. And so I think that's just the accountability that he holds with us.
How does the schedule help you? Some of your teammates have said having this, these boundaries, this schedule is kind of helping not getting overexcited about a big game that's still far away.
Yeah, everything's the same. We've, no helmets on Wednesdays. We have a hard practice. Sometimes we throw the pads on before week 10 on Thursday. Fast Fridays, the special teams at the beginning. We keep everything the same. And I think, everybody does better with some kind of structure or routine. And so we've maintained that through, we've been doing that for the past couple of years. And so they want us to make sure that we wake up, it doesn't feel like we're in a different game. Our preseason schedule is the same for our regular season as soon as we're out of the dorms. That's the worst. But as soon as you're out of the dorms, they have created a thing where you go, sometimes, and they think of everything logistically too. Sometimes we get on a bus, you go, and you're like, where are we, what hotel are we staying in? They've just taken care of everything. And that goes to all the people that are working under Andy, taking care of travel arrangements, all that stuff. They're wanting us to focus just on the football side of things. What we can control in between the lines.
Dustin, when I say Chiefs history to you, what does that mean, Chiefs history?
Probably a beloved family pulling their roots out of Dallas, Texas, and finding a place on a map that says there's good people there. I think that we can build an NFL team in this city, and then, decades and decades later, watching probably from above his son host an AFC Championship trophy with his name on it.
Dustin, when Andy and Tobe and this group of coaches came in a few years ago, it seemed like you were ready to move on. What did they say to convince you to stick around and sign on again? And who was it? Was it Andy? Was it Tobe? Was it Dorsey? Who was it?
Yeah, I think the people moved on that were here beforehand, and I was getting ready for a Pro Bowl, and Andy just said, he wants to know, just like that, doing his homework. He's like, are you tired of the city? Are you tired of the organization? Where are you at? And I was like, I love football and I love the city. All my kids have been born here, and I want to stay. And so he goes, well, we want you here. Go punt. And he wanted me to punt first before we even had this conversation. And so we had to do it in his order, which is good. He doesn't want any distractions, and that means if I'm punting, let's not get distracted here. You do that first, and then we'll talk.
And, yeah, so I think that it was fun hearing somebody, instead of feeling like a worker coming to work, just on a conversation, you feel like they want me to be a part of this thing moving forward. And so in 2013, you start saying like, dude, I can't wait to get to work. Like, what are these guys building? And all of a sudden, we're kind of here seeing like, God, this is crazy. What kind of a turnaround we've had.
What specifically did he say?
Do what, say again?
What specifically did Andy say about the future?
He just said, look, we're gonna try to win championships here. That's why we all play this game, is the trophy. And, you know, he'll do this, and it's like what Dick Vermeil said when we first got here, my rookie class here. I'm sure he did it to all the guys that were here before the 4 or 5 years that he was here, is he gave you a card with a Lombardi trophy on it, said, this is why we're here. And you get to know each other and refine each other and, you know, make each other better in the process. But that was Andy's clear message to me is, well, as a punter, you're thinking like, we're going to actually get Andy Reid to a small market. I mean, I've said that before, but Clark really went out there and went for it all. And that takes a lot of guts for, I guess, whatever you guys want to call it, a second generational owner like that, and siblings to come together and say, this is not a small market. This is a championship market, and let's push it to the limits.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
Hurry. Sorry, guys, we had to rush through that. We got to practice at 1, and we're tight. Practice at 1? Dennis, did you change?
Yes.
1 or 120 again? Practice at 120 for us, especially indoors, locals only. We'll have a shuttle that takes you from here to 110 for the locals.
But I mean, I also, we can justify asking.